on the platform, returning to a story we covered earlier. We talked to Nationals Justice spokesperson Paul Goldsmith, who was outraged, I think outraged is the word to use, about the fact that legislation passed in the House Wednesday night allows the appointment, not the election, the appointment to ECan, that's Environment Canterbury, the appointment to ECan of 2 Ngāi Tahu representatives who will not be elected, like the 14 other people on ECan. And of course, you don't have to be a Pākehā or a non-Māori to elect someone to the ECan board. Anyone can do it. So Māori get a vote there. There's no discrimination on the grounds of race. But there will in future be 2 members from Ngāi Tahu on ECan, which is a powerful body in terms of the regulation and administration of things around the environment in Canterbury. This legislation passed by Labor and the Greens. National has clearly said this morning that it will repeal it very quickly because it is not democratic. Well, one of those who championed the bill was Labor's Oceans and Fisheries Under-Secretary and Labor MP, Rino Tirikatene. And we are joined by Rino now. Kia ora, welcome to the platform.
Kia ora, Sean.
All right, Rino.
Great to be having a chat.
Yeah, it is. It's good to have you on the program. Look, why does Environment Canterbury need 2 Ngāi Tahu representatives who aren't elected? What's the purpose of this law change?
This is to give greater representation for the mana whenua, for Ngāi Tahu on the regional council. It's a local bill. It deals with it's a local solution which Canterbury successfully had for close to 10 years, which the National Party instigated way back in 2010.
Well, that was the appointment of advisory, not voting members, wasn't it? So it's not the same.
No. There were commissioners. The council was sacked.
And
there were commissioners appointed to run the council.
Yeah, that's right. But that's changed now, right? And we're looking forward to where you return to having an elected or democratic ECan, right?
Exactly. And as I've said consistently, this is democracy plus. This is the 14 elected councillors and an enriched council with having the mana whenua representation of Ngāi Tahu.
Okay, well, mana whenua, explain what mana whenua is exactly.
So mana whenua is the local iwi that have the mana over the area of Canterbury. And
what do you mean by mana over an area? What do you mean by mana over an area? Explain that concept to me.
Well, if we have to go back, this bill is being consistent with Te Tiriti o Waitangi, whether it's the Treaty Pākehā version or the Māori version. This is about... Where
does the Treaty of Waitangi say that you have 2 non-elected representatives from Ngāi Tahu on ECan? Because I've read the treaty a few times, I don't see that in there.
Well, we look at the treaty as promises, and there's an obligation on the Crown about rangatiratanga over resources and treasures. And what does that mean for this bill? It means that, why does it apply? Because it's about giving the mana whenua, the iwi, Ngāi Tahu, the rights to exercise their rangatiratanga in the regional council context. It's worked for 10 years in the past. The national government of those times were forward-thinking and helped put in place the conditions for that to happen. Canterbury, it worked. Canterbury came back to Parliament. This is the second time they came back to ensure that they could have a continuation of this great relationship. And I'm very proud that the bill has been passed.
All right. Do you think it's democratic?
In law.
Rino, do you think it's democratic? How?
Well, it's like... It's gone through a Bill of Rights assessment. We're talking about...
But I didn't ask if it was consistent with the Bill of Rights. I asked whether or not you think it's democratic.
Yes, I do think it's democratic, but there are a lot of quirks...
How is having unelected people on an elected body democratic, ever?
This is an evolution of our local body political system. This is about giving a true reflection of the treaty partnership. For over 100 years, Ngāi Tahu have been locked out of regional decision-making. So this is an
have they? For over 100 years, has no Ngāi Tahu person ever had a vote? Because I'm presuming Māori can vote for ECan members.
No representative, no Ngāi Tahu representatives have had that ability to be able to put their viewpoints.
They've had the ability to stand for election, one presumes, Rino, like every other person.
Every citizen has a right to stand for local elections.
Okay, so why should someone from Ngāi Tahu have any greater right?
Because it reflects the treaty partnership and the rights that Ngāi Tahu has.
So you're telling me that the treaty
Whenua.
partnership is not about democracy, it's about some special privilege for a group?
This is the treaty in action. This is the treaty given true expression through regional decision making.
So you're saying the treaty is fundamentally about special rights for one group?
No, well, the treaty does confer rights. The tangata whenua, Māori mana whenua iwi, do have special rights under the treaty. That's a fact. And that's recognised through the Bill of Rights assessment on this bill, which said, yes, there is a distinction, but because that goes back to the unique position that Māori have, that Ngāi Tahu has under the treaty. And that's what this bill gives expression to through the appointment of these councillors. And ultimately, it's all about better decision-making for the region.
No, it's not. Why do Māori or Ngāi Tahu have better ability to make decisions about the environment than anyone else?
Well, it's having a voice at the table to be able to put...
Everyone has a voice at the table in a democratic system. Everyone can vote. Everyone can stand. That's how representative democracy works.
And this enhances that through giving Ngāi Tahu its own dedicated representation on the council.
Why are Ngāi Tahu any better, any more highly qualified to make decisions or good decisions about the environment in Canterbury than anyone else?
Because they are the mana whenua, they are the treaty partner.
Yeah, but a treaty partner doesn't make you an expert on the environment, Rino. It doesn't give you some supernatural ability to make better decisions than anyone else.
This bill, and I must commend Environment Canterbury for bringing the bill to Parliament, is about giving a respect and recognition to Ngāi Tahu, the treaty partner, across this whole vast Canterbury area, and by giving them the right to be able to have input at that decision-making table.
But they've already got input through voting. Through their rights as New Zealand citizens, they already have input.
And citizens are free to stand in elections.
Yep, that's right, exactly what I'm saying.
But Ngāi Tahu want to appoint their people that represent them, that represents their...
Well, do they represent them as Ngāi Tahu? Could I ask you, is Ngāi Tahu a democratic body? Does it have regular elections for all its positions, or is it run on grace and favour and who's got more mana and who was born into the right family?
Well, they do actually have elections, but, you know, I would direct you to have a chat to Ngāi Tahu directly, but they have a 74,000 member beneficiary. They are about to embark on a very robust process to select the best people possible with the all-around skills that can, and they hold them to account. More so than...
How do they hold them to account?
Elected. They have to report monthly in terms of the work that's going on at council level and everything that's going on. How many local ward councillors report monthly to their communities about everything that's going on in terms of the work that they do on council?
Okay.
They're a highly specialised group, and if you look at the calibre of the councillors that have represented Ngāi Tahu in the past, it's led to a great partnership, fantastic relationships, greater outcomes and better decision-making for the Canterbury region.
Why better decision-making? Why does a Māori make a better decision than anyone who isn't a Māori?
Well, it's not like they're making decisions for the council. They're contributing to the decision-making which the collective council make together. And this is about inserting that mana whenua viewpoint.
I still don't quite get the mana whenua.
Connections to the natural.
Yeah, I don't get the magic of mana whenua.
The iwi viewpoint to that decision-making process. And it means that a whole, a very, very important part of this vast ancestral landscape of Te Waipounamu is now being heard at the council table and is contributing to those decisions.
Well, as I said, through the normal democratic process, they can have their say as well. They seem to me to be getting an extra say. Tamati Coffey, your colleague, has also said that this is, if you like, a pathway or a gateway to have more of this on different bodies around the council, around the country, sorry, and this is just the first of many. Do you agree with that statement?
Look, this is a local bill. It's been promoted by the local authority here, Environment Canterbury. The reason why it's a local bill is because the unique history to the Ngāi Tahu representation on council and the vast geographic area, the largest in New Zealand, has a single iwi. Obviously, the contexts are much different around the country. And that is why, as a government, we've put in place Māori constituencies and Māori wards, which local authorities can adopt. So though there are other models around the country, but as I say, there's lots of different quirks around local government politics, body politics, whether it's wards, councillors elected at large. There are many different quirks. This is a system through the bill that I helped shepherd. Is a system that works well with Canterbury, and they're delighted
not with democracy. But not with democracy. With the greatest of respect, Rino, because we're abandoning the idea of one person, one vote.
Like I said, it is not. There is still one person, one vote. There are still 14 elected.
Yeah, but there are two that aren't elected, and that means that someone, a Māori who's got a vote in the general roll, and is also a member of Ngāi Tahu, has more power, has more input than someone who isn't.
And the Attorney General has...
but that's okay, because you've got a legal... Yeah.
Well, yes, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to follow the law, and this passed the Bill
No,
of
we
Rights
don't. At the end of the day, we have to promote democracy, Rino, and fairness.
And democracy is still carried out, but the distinction here recognises that Māori, that Ngāi Tahu has are special because they are the treaty partner here in the Canterbury region, and there's no other comparator group. So so democracy still prevails, and this is enhancing the composition and the quality of the decision making that will happen. So
you can't point to me why Ngāi Tahu make any better decisions about the environment than anyone else.
Like I said, they contribute to the decision making at the council table. It's ensuring that their voice is heard. And that is so important because they haven't been part of that decision making for over 100 years. This actually puts them at the decision making table. It's a model that works for Canterbury, and I'm delighted that they've been able to pass this legislation.
Hey, could I ask you? And I've just got a text through, Rino. Would it be okay, in the interest of partnership of the treaty, could we have a couple of Pākehā representatives on the Ngāi Tahu governing board?
Well, no, because that's
why not?
Preposterous.
Why?
Well,
no more preposterous than this, mate.
I think you should read the Ngāi Tahu legislation and don't be so disrespectful to the history and the standing and the status that Ngāi Tahu has. Read the Ngāi Tahu settlement. Read the history of Te Waiponamu, and read who Ngāi Tahu are. And I quite frankly, find those sorts of...
Go on, call me a racist, Rino.
Things,
you're allowed.
No, I won't go there. I like to be respectful to all that we deal with, but I think that we need to be engaging as a nation. This is an evolution. This is recognising that there is a treaty partnership, that we do have bicultural roots, that those views are important, and Canterbury gets it, and that's why the sought the support of Parliament to pass a law, and I'm really proud that we've achieved that. And I would consider it a very hostile act for any future government to try and tamper with these arrangements.
Well, National have made it clear this is gone, mate. This is gone if they become government.
It's very backward-looking, and it's very sad, actually, when you think of the Bulger, Doug Graham, and the history they had with Ngāi Tahu, Key and English, and they were forward-looking in terms of allowing the Ngāi Tahu representation through the commissioners on the council, and now to see this current National Party, going right back to way into last century's views, is incredibly disappointing.
Rino, I thank you very much indeed for coming on and debating and talking with me today. It's really encouraging we can have discussions even if we don't agree. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
Oh, kia ora, ngā mihi nui.
That is Rino Tirikatene, Labour MP, one of those who shepherded through this bill that gives an undemocratic 2 appointments to Ngāi Tahu on Environment Canterbury. He got really upset when I suggested this should be a two-way street, and a couple of Pākehā boys, I gendered them, didn't I, on the Ngāi Tahu Governing Council would be a good idea if we really want to get into partnership.
Us left-handers are left out too, by the way, because we're only 7%.
Yeah, but that's because you're the devil's spawn, Paul.